Nothing hits quite as good as your first Spright in a long time. What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I'm going to bring you an updated Spright profile. Obviously, we just got starter back to 3 on the most recent ban list, so I tested it last night and actually did pretty well at my locals, going 3-1, my only loss being to Rescue Ace, which is to be expected since that is the best deck of the format. So we're going to breeze through the profile really quickly because there really aren't that many changes from the last one that I did months ago at this point, but I do want to show you guys the combo and another niche interaction at the end, so let's go ahead and jump on it. Like I said, we're just going to kind of breeze through the profile because there aren't that many changes, but one thing that I really do like about Spright is that we are able to play a lot of non-engine. We are on 41 cards total in the main deck, and 20 of those are non-engine, so let's go ahead and show you guys what we have. Obviously, we have our 3 copies of Spright Blue and our 3 copies of Spright Jet. That's just standard. You don't need more, you don't need less. We have our 1 red and our 1 carrot, and that is it for the Spright lineup. I was considering running a Pixies because I actually really do like the ability to just swing for a ton of damage or catch your opponent off guard, but didn't really need it, didn't really come up. We are still on the Nimble package, of course, because Beaver is a 1-card combo in tandem with our 2 Angler. The reason that you need 2 Angler, unfortunately, is because if you open the Beaver, you need a name to summon, otherwise you won't be able to fully utilize Sprint sending your other Angler. We are playing the Melfi cards because I think that this is just the strongest way that the deck can play. This gives you either a Omni Negate, a potential double Omni Negate, or a bounce, just kind of varied interruption to kind of give you options into whatever it is you're playing against. And we are on our 1 copy of Ibly. It's really cool because as long as you have access into Jet, which is what I'm going to show you guys in the combo, you are able to Ibly lock your opponent on top of that double Omni Negate that I was just talking about. For some non-engine, we have 3 copies of Fenrir. I think that Fenrir in Spright is just an insane card because at best case scenario, it's an additional interruption on your end board. At absolute worst case scenario, it is an extender for you to be able to make Sprint because all that Sprint requires is 1 level 2, meaning that if you special the Fenrir and normal something like a Spright Red or something else that might not necessarily be useful, at that time you are able to then just full combo completely for no reason. We have quite a bit of hand traps. We are on our 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, and 3 copies of Effect Veiler. These are just pretty standard for the format. I think that all of these are strong in and of their own way, and honestly, like I said, we have room for 20 non-engine, so why not just load up on hand traps? We do have our 3 copies of Spright Starter. Thankfully, this came back on the last list. We have our 1 copy of Spright Smashers. This is just utility. You can probably cut this. Like I said, I'm at 41 cards, but I really like this as an option. We have our 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity for the sake of consistency, and of course we have double talents as well. I think that this is a really good card for the meta because it is such a hand trap heavy format. Being able to use any of its 3 effects honestly are really just insane, especially if you're going first and your opponent hand traps you. You can either draw some if you need the ability to continue the combo, or you can rip a card out of their hand if you already still have combo and you just want to make them play down more cards. We are on our 1 copy of Spright Double Cross. This is why you have a potential double Omni Negate, because this can reborn your Omni Negate from the graveyard to then use it again. And yeah, it's just really strong. You'll probably side this out every time you know you're going second, but I definitely think it's worth playing for that double Omni Negate. And then 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, again rounding it out at 41. Let's show you guys the extra deck. So in a way, we are only playing a 12-card extra deck, and the reason I say that is because the last 3 slots that I'm going to show you guys are entirely flex spots. They're cards that never came up yesterday or in any of my testing, but I threw them in there because I felt that they had some niche scenarios, but you can really replace them with anything that you want. So we'll talk about those when we get there. Obviously, starting things out, we have our 2 copies of Gigantic Spright. You need these for your combo, and you need them for your turn 2 playability. You can't run just one. Then we have our 1 copy of Melfi of the Forest. This is how you're going to search for your caddy, which then allows you to play that double Omni Negate. Again, I will be showing you guys the combo at the end. We have our 1 copy of Onibimaru Soul Sweeper. This is one of my favorite rank 2s. This just allows you to get out of situations you otherwise wouldn't be able to get out of. Most specifically, something like Empin, because if you summon this in defense, you can go ahead and just banish the Empin and then turns all your stuff live. We have a Zeus package with Ninja Mosquito, Downard, and Zeus. Now, Ninja Mosquito is the best way to get into Zeus because it won't be destroyed by battle and you take no damage, but it also does have a niche OTK effect where you're able to burn your opponent for the attack of a monster that they have, and that actually won me 2 of my rounds yesterday. I was able to swing into something that they had that was over 2700 attack, because that is the threshold. You need it to be over 27 for you to be able to attack it 3 times and burn them for game. We do have our 1 copy of Spright Sprind. This is just standard for combo. We have our IP Masquerena and our SP Little Knight as well. SP Little Knight is actually just insane in Spright, and I might put a second one in one of those flex spaces, but we'll talk about that when we get to the flex. And then we have our 1 copy of Dark the Dark Charmer. This is just really good because even though the meta is shaping up to be a fire-heavy meta, all of those fire decks are playing the Sinful Spoils package, meaning that they will have Dark Witch, so you'll pretty much always be able to resolve your Dark. And then we have our Omni Negate with the Herald of Arclight. This tributes itself as cost, so you will be able to reborn it using the Double Cross to a zone that your Link monster points to, and that's how you get the double Omni Negate. But now those 3 flex spots, we have a Typhon, a Sky Striker Azalea, and a Merry Melfi's. Now, the Sky Striker Azalea can probably just be a second SP. The reason that I did it over the second SP is because I thought, you know, maybe you won't always get the on-summon banish of SP because you don't have an extra deck type to link off to it, where this will always get an on-summon pop. But honestly, it never came up, so you can really replace it if you want. Typhon is Typhon, and this just gives you another form of interruption if you don't want to go for the Omni Negate, being able to just bounce a card as well. But again, these 3 are entirely flex. You can go ahead and put whatever you want in place. I'm still going to do some testing, but right now this is what I had, and they just didn't come up yesterday. And before we get into the combo, just remember that I did recently partner with Whatnot, an awesome live streaming auction site, and if you use my link to sign up, you essentially get free money. They will be giving you a $15 credit towards your first purchase, and obviously it will help support the channel as well. So if you want to show your love for me and get some free money, go ahead and use my link in the description down below. For the combo that I want to show you guys, it's nothing new, you have seen it on the channel before, but I did want to give you a quick refresher as well as talk about a very niche interaction as well, and this is a 1-card combo using either the starter or beaver, because those are both of the cards that allow you to get 2 level 2s on board with just a single card, but you are also able to do this combo with any combination of cards that put 2 level 2 monsters on board. Let's show you guys how we're going to do it. We're going to start things off in draw phase, activating our Spright starter, and the reason you want to do this in draw phase is to play around cards like Effect Veiler and Droll, because those have to be, well, Droll specifically not in the draw phase, Veiler specifically in the main phase. You can go ahead and summon out your copy of Spright Blue, which will then activate the Spright Blue effect, which is of course going to add us our copy of Spright Jet. Here we'll go ahead and proceed to our main phase, using the Spright Jet to summon itself and activate its effect on summon. This is going to let us add our Spright Double Cross. Now that we have our 2 level 2s, we are going to just summon a Gigantic Spright, which is really cool because once the Gigantic Spright resolves, we are no longer able to be Nibiru'd, so this combo also plays around Nib. So we're going to go ahead and use the Jet and the Blue. This is, of course, going to make our copy of Gigantic, which we will then activate his effect. Does not matter which one you detach, but this is going to then summon out your copy of Ibly from the deck. Now, not only are we Nibiru-proof, but we're also going to Ibly lock our opponent. We're going to go ahead and link the Gigantic Spright and the Ibly off into our copy of Spright Sprind, and now we'll activate Sprind as Chainlink 1 and Ibly as Chainlink 2, also accomplishing chain blocking the Sprind. So we're going to go ahead and summon the Ibly over to their side of the field, so just pretend that that's on our opponent's field now. And the Sprind is going to go ahead and send our copy of Nimble Angler. This is of course going to activate the Nimble Angler effect to allow us to summon 2 Nimbles from our deck, which are going to both be Nimble Beaver. Here we can take these Nimble Beavers, we're going to go ahead and overlay them, and this will go into our copy of Melfi of the Forest. We can then use our Melfi of the Forest, detaching either of the Beavers, to then go ahead add our Melfi Caddy. We'll set our Spright Double Cross to our side of the field and proceed to our end phase. This is going to allow us to use the effect of Melfi Caddy to summon itself, and now this is the full setup. Now, everything that happens from this point on is going to be what our opponent has to deal with on their turn. This is no longer on our turn, so please don't comment down below that I can't do this on my turn. From this point on, it is the opponent's turn. As soon as your opponent commits any type of summon, you're going to use the Caddy effect to go ahead and add it back to your hand and get the Penny from your deck to your hand. You can then use the Penny to special summon itself and use it as a synchro into our copy of Herald of the Arclight. Now, if they normal summoned and you don't want them to link the Ibly off, you can go ahead and use the Sprind, detaching off of the Melfi of the Forest to bounce their normal summon, meaning that they don't have a way to link away the Ib. And now we have an Omni Negate, potentially two, because as soon as you tribute this for your Omni Negate, you can go ahead and double cross to reborn it back to the Sprind zone, and that gives you a double Omni Negate. If you don't want to use this as a second Omni Negate, you can use it as additional interruption to steal resources that your opponent has, either on their field or in their graveyard, and it just kind of equates to a lot of interruption, especially because you still have 4 cards in your hand. Now, we're going to go ahead and rewind the game state a little bit because I want to show you guys a pretty cool interaction and a way to guarantee that your opponent stays locked under Ibly, so let's go ahead and show you guys that. So for this next interaction, I want to show you guys something that we've all experienced and we've all been through when Ibly locking our opponent, and that is what to do if they put the Ibly in attack and attempt to just crash into your Spright Sprind. There's actually a very easy way around this, and it not only gets rid of their ability to crash the Ib, but it also gives you guaranteed follow-up for your next turn. So what we'll do is we'll let them enter battle phase, and once they are successfully in battle phase, we're actually going to use the Spright double cross here, and what that's going to do is go ahead and target to reborn our Spright Jet. We're going to special the Jet to the zone that the Sprind points to, and now what we can do is use Sprind as Chainlink 1 to bounce a card, and Jet as Chainlink 2. So what we're going to do is Jet will search our guaranteed follow-up in our Spright starter, and here the Sprind is actually going to detach off of the Melfi Forest to bounce itself back. And what that does is it leaves you with just defense position monsters, meaning that they can no longer crash this Ibly. They're forced to go to main phase 2, they're still locked under the Ibly, and of course we still have our Melfi Caddy as well. And this is why I like the varied interruptions, because now let's say they normal summon a monster, you can go ahead and use the Caddy effect, which will add the Penny, special the Penny and Synchro using itself and the Caddy, and that goes into our flex spot of the Merry Melfis, which can then bounce the normal summon, leaving them still locked under Ibly in attack position, and we still have our guaranteed follow-up. And there you have it, that is going to be my updated Spright deck profile, combo tutorial, and interaction as well. If you liked it, you know the deal, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends. As always, make sure you check out our channel sponsor, Dueling Guard. Using code INSANE18, you can get 5% off your entire order. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.